And I would like to explain the meaning of the holiday of Passover and what it means to people. And I mean, beyond the ritual, what it actually means in a person, what it can mean for a person, and how it can be used to improve yourself. I mean, again, if religion doesn't in some way give you courage, if religion somehow doesn't give you strength, if religion somehow doesn't give you hope, then that religion is useless as far as I'm concerned. Religion has to give you some connection to the ultimate power that drives the whole universe. And, the more I have studied, and sometimes more actively than others in my life, and I've studied a variety of religions. I've looked for the truth in religion in so many different places and ways. My head spins when I think about it. All of it is an attempt to find a meaning in life. What am I doing here? What's the purpose on life? Why do good people suffer? Why do bad people sometimes not suffer? The eternal questions. And if you find answers in your religion, you're lucky. Most people don't. Most people, in my experience, either go to church and synagogue and go along with the program and don't even know what they're doing there, and they hear nothing. They're numb. They go in numb and they come out numb and they got nothing from it. Occasionally a person is touched or reached by one of the holy books sitting there, or by a teacher. Occasionally someone is touched, and that's good enough. You can't expect an entire flock to be touched. But there's a higher thing in religion that I've seen, whether it be Judaism, Christianity, Buddhism, or Islam, or even Hinduism. All of it is an attempt to tap into some power, even paganism, if you want to go to the not one of the five religions, but to paganism itself, which doesn't even believe in God. It's people trying to tap into a power that runs through them. They want the power. They want the energy. They want to be enervated. They want to feel the power. They don't want to be de-enervated. They don't want to go to a church and come away feeling weaker than when they went in. So we'll put it another way. Every year people go to Lourdes Cathedral. By the hundreds of thousands, they flock to Lourdes Cathedral. The people believe that if they touch the holy water in Lourdes Cathedral, they can be healed. They believe the cripple can walk, the blind can see, the deaf can hear. And sometimes people will jump up and say, I'm healed, I'm healed, I'm healed. So again, what are the people going there for? They're going for the quote, miracle. What's the miracle? The energy. What's the energy? The energy is the power that drives the entire universe. It's the energy that, let's say, a plant, I'm sorry to put it in that context, but a plant, a plain old plant growing in your backyard, a blade of grass, if you truly understood how a blade of grass can start from a seed, a dormant, dead thing, and turn into a beautiful green thing, you'd understand what I'm talking about. Because that seed is you. Many of us are walking around like a seed, a husk, a dead seed. But inside that apparently dead seed, there's a living green piece of grass. Just as inside a chestnut, there's an oak tree. So many of us are this seed. We're walking our whole lives like a seed, waiting for someone, whether it be a woman, if it's a man, or a man, it's a woman, a man, something to awaken the seed into life and make that seed become alive and a piece of green grass or a tree grow from it. In other words, we come to life, to put it in simple terms. But people often will try to find that through religion. Some do. Some go every Sunday to church. Some go every day to church. Devout Muslim prays 6 times a day. He believes he's reaching God in those 6 times a day. He feels the energy. And, many of us can't feel it at all when we're alone. But when you talk about going into a temple, a mosque, a church, have you ever been in St. Patrick's Cathedral, for example, as I have been on a Christmas Eve, or you have been inside an Orthodox Jewish temple in Brooklyn, New York, where there are 5,000 men at the same time chanting, or if you have even been in a village setting where there are 20 men chanting, you'll feel an energy that you'll never feel alone. So there's an argument for the congregation. The congregation. That's it. But I haven't touched on Passover yet, and I will when I return here on the Savage Nation. Savage. Before I go into any of these issues here on the Savage Nation, I want to just continue something I started in the last hour. The Jewish people are a very small minority in terms of numbers, both in the world and the United States of America. And they will be having religious Jews, even I think actually non-religious Jews have a Seder tomorrow night. Maybe Christians sometimes go to them, or if there's been intermarriage between Christians and Jews. Now, many Christians understand what a Seder is. Sometimes Christians go to a Seder because they have Jewish friends. And it's a rather peaceful, nice long meal with, various ritualistic events, including the unleavened bread or the matzah. And what does the unleavened bread signify? It signifies the time of haste when the Jewish people were fleeing Egypt and they had to make the bread in the desert. They didn't have time to allow the dough to rise. So the story goes, and the children love this kind of thing if they understand it at all. I don't even know if they teach it to children anymore. So the children understand that their ancestors were once slaves, but they don't quite understand what that really means. But what a modern Passover Seder can mean to millions of people, which the ancient Seder may not connect in the same way, and I'm not against tradition, but I'm just saying that a lot of people don't even, hear it anymore and don't want to listen, is that although people say, well, our ancestors were slaves, it has no meaning. What it can come to mean is we are still slaves in our own life, and we can also break the bonds of slavery in our own life anytime we want. So in other words, if you take it as a personal Seder, a personal Passover, you can learn to release yourself from your own chains, whether it be alcohol, drugs, sexual addiction, or God knows what it is, gambling addiction. You could say you are a slave, and you could decide that you understand you're enslaved, and you could decide that from that day forward, you're going to seek to break those chains of bondage, and you can become a free man or a free woman. I mean, that's another way to interpret what the significance, in order to give it eternal meaning and modern meaning. You have to take from the ancient to the modern and give it some modern meaning, or else it will lose its meaning altogether, as far as I can tell. Now I'll take your calls. Now that I got that out of the way, to most people it has to do with chicken, chopped liver, and fish and brisket and things of that nature, and drinking too much wine because you're supposed to drink 4 cups of wine. Basically it's an excuse to get drunk around a communal table in a nice setting with clean tablecloths and good silverware to too many people. So what would you like to talk about in this hour in the Savage Nation? There are